Canon fans, get ready, or maybe not just yet. For quite some time now, rumors have been swirling about a new addition to Canon's mirrorless camera lineup, the Canon EOS R4. Positioned by some as a potential game changer, the R4 has been rumored to boast advanced specs, pro-level features, and a price that sits somewhere between the Canon EOS R6 and the EOS R5. It sounded like the perfect hybrid, high-resolution capabilities blended with strong video performance, all wrapped in a more accessible price tag. However, as more details, or the lack thereof, emerge, the Canon EOS R4 starts to look more like a mirage than a product in active development. So, is the EOS R4 a future flagship, or merely wishful thinking shaped by fan expectations and industry chatter? To understand where the Canon EOS R4 would fit, it helps to first examine the context of Canon's mirrorless EOS R series. Since the launch of the EOS R system, Canon has steadily built a well-differentiated lineup that caters to both professionals and enthusiasts. The EOS R5, with its 45MP sensor and 8K video recording, became a headline-grabbing choice for hybrid shooters who demand the best in both photography and videography. On the other hand, the EOS R6 offered a more accessible price point and features geared towards speed, low-light shooting, and excellent autofocus, making it a favorite among event photographers and action shooters. Together, the R5 and R6 represent two well-defined camps within Canon's mirrorless strategy. That's why the rumored Canon EOS R4 immediately intrigued many. It appeared to promise a sweet spot between the two, potentially offering some of the high-end performance of the R5 without its premium cost, and more resolution or video capabilities than the R6. Initial rumors about the Canon EOS R4 suggested a 40MP sensor, comfortably above the R6's 24.2MP but still below the R5's 45MP. While that would make it a notable upgrade in resolution over the R6, it wouldn't allow it to surpass or even equal the R5 in this key area. There were also whispers about Canon using its next-generation Digic X Plus image processor in the R4, which would presumably improve autofocus speed and low-light sensitivity. Yet again, these projected improvements weren't leaps ahead of the R5, more like iterative enhancements. On the video front, the Canon EOS R4 was rumored to support 8K recording at up to 60 FPS, Canon Log 2 and 3 profiles for improved dynamic range, and updated connectivity with Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2. The body was said to include dual card slots and weather sealing suitable for professional use. These specs, while impressive, are not groundbreaking when compared to the existing R5, which already checks many of these boxes. This raises an important question: what distinct niche would the Canon EOS R4 fill that isn't already covered? Canon is known for maintaining clear segmentation in its camera lineup. Each model generally has a distinct identity and purpose, avoiding internal competition that could confuse buyers. In that sense, a Canon EOS R4 that closely overlaps with the R5, without surpassing it, would risk becoming a redundant product rather than a revolutionary one. Unless the R4 brought truly unique features, it would struggle to establish a foothold. One of the few features that could have potentially set the R4 apart was a rumored internal heat dissipation system. Early versions of the R5 faced criticism over overheating during prolonged 8K recording sessions, which Canon addressed through firmware updates and, later, with the release of the EOS R5C, a version optimized for video with active cooling. The Canon EOS R4 was rumored to introduce a completely redesigned passive cooling solution, possibly utilizing vapor chamber technology or heat pipes. If true, this would have been a meaningful improvement for hybrid shooters, but without any credible engineering details or prototypes, this claim remains unsubstantiated. In theory, the Canon EOS R4 could have provided a balanced offering for users who found the R6 underpowered and the R5 too expensive or overkill for their needs. But in reality, its rumored specs didn't carve out a distinct identity. Its place between the two models was too ambiguous to feel like a necessary addition. If Canon were to release a model like the R4 with mostly borrowed features and few innovations, it would likely be seen as a diluted version of the R5, not a compelling choice in its own right. Interestingly, there may also be cultural reasons behind the absence of the R4 in Canon's lineup. In many East Asian cultures, including Japan, Canon's home base, the number 4 is considered unlucky because its pronunciation closely resembles the word for death. This superstition, known as tetraphobia, often leads companies to skip the number altogether in product naming. It's similar to how buildings in the West often omit the 13th floor. While competitors like Nikon have released cameras with the number 4, such as the D4 and D4S, these decisions are exceptions rather than the rule and are typically approached with cultural sensitivity. Even from a logistical and business perspective, the Canon EOS R4 doesn't make much sense at this time. Although early speculation pointed to a release window in early or mid-2025, Canon has yet to confirm anything. More tellingly, none of the usual signs of a major product launch, development announcements, patent filings, or regulatory certifications have surfaced. Canon typically leaves a trail before releasing a new camera, and the total absence of these signals strongly suggests that the EOS 4 South African rand is not part of the company's immediate plans. Then there's the issue of pricing. If the Canon EOS R4 were to exist, it would likely fall in the $3,000 to $3,500 price range. However, this space is already well covered. The EOS R5, frequently available at discounted prices, remains a top-tier option for professionals. Meanwhile, the R6 and R6 Mark II continue to dominate the mid-range segment, offering high performance and excellent low-light capabilities. The R4 would be squeezed between these two established models, lacking a strong selling point to pull buyers away from either. One of the biggest red flags pointing to the speculative nature of the Canon EOS 4 South African rand is the vagueness of the rumored specs. Real leaks typically include highly specific technical details, buffer sizes, continuous burst rates, internal codecs, stabilization systems, and thermal design specifics. These granular features help authenticate the validity of a leak. In the case of the EOS R4, most of these details are conspicuously absent. Mentions of 8K video lack important context, such as whether it's achieved through full-frame oversampling or crop sensor readout. Without this information, the rumors feel more like a wish list than insights from credible sources. When we zoom out and consider Canon's broader strategy, the idea of a Canon EOS R4 becomes even harder to justify. Canon appears to be doubling down on refining its existing models rather than introducing middle ground options that risk cannibalizing their own lineup. The features attributed to the EOS R4 already exist in the R5 or fail to push boundaries enough to warrant a new release. From a marketing and sales perspective, introducing a model that adds confusion rather than clarity would be a step backward for a company that prides itself on clean product segmentation. Cultural factors, pricing overlap, lack of compelling innovation, and the complete absence of credible leaks all point toward the same conclusion: the Canon EOS R4 is most likely not a real product in Canon's roadmap, at least not in the near future. It's more of a fan-created concept, born from a desire for a perfect hybrid model that bridges the gap between two successful cameras. But Canon doesn't operate on speculation. Its product development is deliberate, shaped by market research, user feedback, and technological feasibility. For those still holding out hope for the Canon EOS R4, it might be time to reset expectations. Canon is clearly focused on supporting well-defined user groups with proven tools, rather than gambling on speculative releases that might blur the lines in its carefully constructed lineup. A more practical move for creators is to invest in the R5 if they need top-tier specs, or the R6/R6 II for more budget-conscious yet capable shooting. Speculation will always have a place in the photography world. It fuels discussion, anticipation, and excitement. But separating grounded expectations from pure rumor is essential to making informed decisions. Understanding how companies like Canon plan, design, and release new gear can help creatives stay focused on tools that exist and deliver, rather than getting caught up in the allure of hypothetical models like the EOS R4. So what do you think? Is there still a case for a camera like the Canon EOS R4? Or should it remain a concept left behind on the drawing board?